The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Pastor Mike, good afternoon. Welcome to Mannin Line on Max Radio. Well, we should have been welcoming the Chief Minister to Mannin Line today. Unfortunately, he has the winter bug, so he's indisposed, and we wish him well. Hope he makes a full recovery as soon as possible. In the meantime, it's you and me on the open line through to 1. Text, email, call and WhatsApp. Lots of messages from yesterday. And not long to go before Christmas Day. Did you hear that story in the news about where have you bought your presents from this year? Have you been shopping online, or did you go into our main streets around Ramsey, around Port Erin, Peel, Douglas, Onken? Have you been shopping in actual shops? They say, well, according to some of the shops that we spoke to, trade's been a little down on last year. We keep our fingers crossed anyway. Elizabeth first with us today. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hello there. It's nice to talk to you, Andy, and to hear your voice back in normal again.
Okay, thanks.
I was hoping to speak to Mr. Cannon, but of course he's not coming in. And it's something I spoke to you some weeks back when this plan was first proposed. This is to do with the change in the pension payouts, that it must go to a bank.
Yes.
You know, OAP pensions have to go to a bank.
Yeah.
And I was hoping to lean on Mr. Cannon's ear, because he obviously can't keep in touch with everything that's going on in his departments, and just show him how foolish the whole situation is. However, I can reiterate to you if you so wish.
Yes, by all means. It always bears restatement.
Well, that's it. The thing is, the whole problem is that this new regulation was brought in a hurry without any serious thought. There are 3 categories of people. Those who do not have a bank account, and you've had callers in stating that. The second one, those who do have a bank account, can get to the bank, but also have problems with walking or heart or balance or sight. And it's not easy for them to have to go many more miles to get their money. And then the third one is those who are absolutely at home, totally. They cannot get out. And that's fair enough that often they have good neighbours or good friends who the post office is quite happy to pay the pension to them. But if you haven't got a good friend, if you haven't got a relation, what do you do? Some people have got relations, but they may be anywhere in the island living. Also, some of them would be working full time, and that's difficult. And it's just one of those situations which is, I don't know what you can do.
Well, the thing is, Elizabeth, they're saying that it'll probably save money and what have you, but it appears to be change for change's sake.
Exactly.
It wasn't exactly broken, was it? The system wasn't broken.
No, not at all. Not at all. Now, I'm talking to you. I am 98. I'm very healthy. I walk every day, but my sight is only kept going by Nobles Hospital. And to have to sign a cheque is a real undertaking. Even with a magnifying glass, I can't. And when they sent out the forms about the changes, it's tiny, tiny print, question after question. I haven't even read it because I can't.
Well, they seem intent on doing this, but
right.
I just wonder what their theory is about people who genuinely find difficulty with this. They can't really abandon people.
You can't do that. And everything has worked well so far. Why then is it change for change's sake? They say it will save money. I can't see it's going to save. You end up with some people who go to hospital because they have a fall.
Well, we'll see. Anyway, well, hopefully Mr. Cannon will be on the mend. Perhaps he may even be listening now. And if he's well enough, he'll be in tomorrow. But we don't hold out much hope.
Oh, no. There's too many bugs around anyway, and it's the time of the year when things get tighter and tighter and tenser, you know. Okay. That's it. Well, bless you.
I appreciate it, Elizabeth.
Yes, and I wish you a very happy Christmas and more than anything else, a healthy New Year.
All right. I appreciate that. Thanks for calling today. The same to you. Thank you. 12 minutes past midday. We were talking yesterday. Have you got any thoughts on that, by the way? It can only be a few people that it affects, but it's one of the things, it affects those people an awful lot. The fact that they can't collect their pension in person as before. Okay, text, email, call and WhatsApp. Has anybody thought, by the way, we're talking a lot about the Gaiety Theatre and extending the licensing area to the seats. To the seats. And again, this can only be because I don't know. Nobody on Mannin Line has ever moaned about having to finish your drink before you go back to your seat in the Gaiety Theatre. So this is obviously revenue generation. Nothing wrong with that. Times are tight. You have to maximise that. But are there other ways to do this? And if they do this at the Gaiety Theatre, i.e. allow people to take drinks back to the seat, surely they're not going to give them glasses, proper glasses, glass glasses. So will it be plastic ones? And if so, I thought single-use plastic had been outlawed on the Isle of Man. Maybe they're way ahead of us. Maybe there's a big plan. Maybe they've had a committee or a consultation about it, but we've not heard. Has anybody thought about cleaning up spilt drinks in the Gaiety? Says Frankie, Francis, Fran and Frank. With narrow aisles, how do you get a carpet cleaning machine in, even with a longer hose? Would it be possible? Rechargeable ones are available, but expensive to buy, repair and replace. And you've got the expensive time cleaning fluids. Again, cleaning fluids, not very green. To me, it seems that MHKs could do more than a couple of hours without a drink. I don't think it's just MHKs. But then again, any thoughts on this? Extending the licensing area from the bars in the Gaiety to the seat. And more to the point, what about the gods? Will you be able to take drinks up to the gods? Mrs. Kane makes no sense, says G. This is Daphne Kane, who's the Minister, Department of Education, Sport and Culture, under whose aegis comes the Gaiety Theatre. She said people can't get served in the break. So this will allow them to bring a drink to their seat. But service is no quicker, so will the show be disrupted? There are so many people in the bar, by the time you get served, the bell goes. Can't they just give you a bit longer? Well, that will mean that the evening goes longer, but it's a point. But the caller yesterday pointed out you can. There is a drinks ordering service where you order your drinks at the start of the show and they're actually waiting for you on a tray during the interval. So perhaps not everybody knows this. Some of those who voted to extend questions yesterday are the same MHKs who voted to cut short the sittings a few years ago. So they didn't stretch beyond tea time, says James. Well, they do now, don't they? How about keeping the pubs open then instead of finding other places to drink, says Des. What about a glass of beer being spilt over a new coat? Can you imagine it? Imagine if it was suede coats, or sheepskin. Does anybody wear sheepskin anymore? Anyway, Daphne just said, what would you do? I'd be furious. And how would you apportion blame? Could be two people behind you with drinks, and they just float down in a river onto your coat. Again, this prompts all sorts of issues, doesn't it? Drinks on seats. Carol was speaking pragmatically yesterday, says John. The Tesla sent to the US was clearly a few years ago. Any repairs can now be done in Europe and very rarely need a full replacement as they're made in sections. 653. Let me just point out, it was earlier on this year. The fact that Tesla from the Isle of Man was shipped back to the UK and then went to America because there was a battery fault. So absolutely genuine. It was earlier on this year. Does owning an EV increase the cost of house insurance, says Ed 555. Don't know, but if you park an EV on your drive, i.e. on your property, does your house insurance cover that, any damage that's possibly done? Any insurance brokers, underwriters who know the answer to that, by all means, please get in touch. I want to go to Viv with us now. Hi, Viv.
Hi, Andy. Yeah, just a point on this nonsense of allowing drinks on your seats or when you're sitting in the Gaiety. I think it's an absolutely ridiculous idea. The whole point in the Gaiety is there isn't that much room in between the seats, row by row. If anybody needs to get up or move, and somebody is trying to get past carrying maybe one or even more drinks, and they splash or they fall over onto people, there's going to be uproar. I cannot see that being a feasible solution.
Well, I'll just say two words to you, Viv. Ice cream.
Go on.
Okay, ice cream. Now, the Friends of the Gaiety sell ice cream during the intervals. And when people have finished their ice cream, what do they do with the carton? They put it on the floor, don't they? So, and that's cardboard. They're cardboard cartons. They're Davison's cardboard cartons.
Yeah.
Imagine if people put empty glasses on the floor in the same way. Kick over an ice cream carton, there's not much of a problem. But kick a glass over, and who knows what will happen.
Yeah, but just going back onto that principle of ice cream cartons, Andy, they do come round with boxes and collect your ice cream cartons.
You're quite right. I just eat my ice cream slow. That's the problem.
You just savour it, don't you?
Yes. I do at that price, put it that way.
Well, yes, true. But as I say, I really cannot see how they're going to make money on it if they've got to pay for extra cleaning, extra staff, extra security. To me, it just doesn't add up.
Well, the amount of extra money they're going to take at the bar, surely. And the thing is, and again, you always, I mean, this is the whole point about risk assessment. You look at what could possibly happen. And, you know, if you have a show where, you know, somebody has decided that they're going to finish their drink and they've got a pint or whatever it is, they've got a beer, and it goes over and somebody takes exception to it, then what?
Yeah. And we know what can happen in those situations.
Yeah, well, I do hope that, and I'm sure they have done their homework on this, and they you know, and there's a cost-benefit analysis, i.e., you know, it will cost in certain ways, and if it's going to earn a few bob, I mean, I can't imagine it's going to be hundreds.
No, I can't, Andy, because the simple fact is, those that have voted in favour for it, they're not all going to be at the theatre at the same time on the same night. So, you know, if you're looking at maybe 20 or 30 people that may want a drink, that's the extra revenue that the Gaiety might get from that. That's surely not going to cover the cost of what they're saying of security and handbag checks and everything else.
As you say, that's the whole issue now, that if people say they know now you can take a drink to your seat, then who's to say they're not going to be taking spirit miniatures into the theatre then? Exactly.
And a lot of people would do, instead of paying the full price or whatever they charge in the Gaiety for a drink.
Yeah.
If you're that desperate for a drink, surely to heavens you can wait until the interval.
Yes, okay. All right. Thanks, Viv. Good to hear from you.
Okay, cheers now.
Cheers now. And David's with us now on Mannin Line. Hi, David.
Hi, Andy. Just quickly, I was at the NSC last night when the competitions in bowl, the indoor bowls are there, and I looked at the trophy cabinet down by the ladies there. I wasn't there anywhere near them. It was just in the corridor. But there's only 2 trophies left in the cabinet now.
Only 2?
So I asked, there's only 2 left now. Big, huge bowl. You could get, a soup tureen full of stuff in that. But the other one's quite nice. But I've asked at the reception, and it's not the lady's fault there, is to find out where are the other ones. Now, I'm hoping that actually somebody's polishing them bit by bit. But my plea was there to the NSC too, and the people that go there is it in the right place? I don't think it is. And if they are polishing them and bringing them back. Why don't we move the cabinet somewhere different?
Well, that's the whole point. I mean, normally you put a trophy cabinet where everybody can see it. They're there to be proud of.
It is, and we are proud. The NSC is one of the best things we ever invested in, as far as I'm concerned. But if Mr. Cannon was here today, I'd be asking him the questions, and I know somebody will be listening and telling them what we're talking about him is. So I'm just wondering if he does come back on in the future there, what his concerns would be is now where there's a number of charities are actually trying to help out on different things that government should be doing. I'll give you an example on that. And I was talking to John yesterday. He's fine, doesn't know where he's going to at Christmas. A lot of pressure on him at the minute. But we still haven't got a homeless act. We got all this talk in Tynwald and the Keys and so forth and social services and people. And I'm going to thank all the charities there too. There's loads of them. If I mention some, I'll definitely miss somebody else out. And he said, thanks to the people of the Isle of Man and people who live across, who've actually said, can we help? Can we do something for John? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, the fact is this time of year brings out the best in everybody. And as you say, there are people are helping all the time. But when you say, what role charities are going to play within government and things like that, any particular ideas there?
No, well, it's just a thought, really. Government doesn't have to do everything, does it? And I've got to thank the lottery people, because they're doing sterling work. It's money that's from gambling and such. That's the end of the thing, isn't it? Lottery tickets and so forth. I mean, I buy one every week hoping I'll be a millionaire, but I'll let you know if I do, okay? But it does help organisations out, even small amounts, £3,000 or £4,000 or £5,000. I know we got, and I'm not speaking totally from them, but we got 50 grand for the roof, to put the roof on. And as an invitation for you, Andy, over the Christmas period, you'll have some rest period, I will invite you up and you'll look at the clubhouse and I'll show you what small amounts of money can do and assist for the future for 400 kids plus and grown-ups. And I'll back out then. The final thing I was going to say to you, Andy, was the copper wire on telecom.
Yeah.
How do we find out whether we've got copper wire or not? I've asked the question. The trouble is I'm a sure customer, and I probably don't get any answers now from Manx Telecom. Or is it owned by somebody else now?
Well, I think you'll know if you've got copper wire because it's a certain type of junction box.
You're giving me an education now.
It's a certain type of junction box, I think, for copper wire, and I can't remember whether it says something. I don't know whether it actually says copper or what have you, but somebody will tell me now if they've got a copper circuit and a copper junction box, it says something particular on it. So if you don't know, you probably haven't got one.
Well, that's it. And there'll be loads of people out there. What I don't want people is dropping off over Christmas and New Year, and then you don't get any help, do you? The Internet's a wonderful thing if it's done right.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it. Thanks for calling today.
Bye-bye.
Cheers now. It's 12:25. As I say, if you're tuning in for the Chief Minister, unfortunately, is indisposed. He has the winter bug. So Mr. Cannon is working remotely at the moment and won't be with us today. If he makes a miraculous recovery, he'll be with us tomorrow. But tomorrow's the last Mannin Line anyway before the new year. No Mannin Lines from next week. So tomorrow, the 20th, is the final Mannin Line of the year. Bringing drinks into the theatre may drive the volunteer cleaners away. So will the taxpayer then have to pay for contract cleaners, says Victoria. Well, nobody knows. That's the long and short of it. They just said they were thinking of, and again, Daphne Kane was clear on this, the consultation wasn't really, do you want it or don't you want it? It's, we're doing this, what do you think? They're applying to have the licence restrictions varied in the Gaiety Theatre, so seats can be part of the area, i.e. you can drink just like you do outside a pub or a cafe or a restaurant. They're basically extending the licensed area to the seats. Now, we know it's the stalls. Possibly, is it going to be the circle? But, I mean, up in the gods. Would you want people with glasses in the gods? Anyway, what do you think? Not long to go before Christmas Day, so where have you bought your presents? We sent out Lewis Foster with a Manx Radio microphone to our shoppers on Strand Street about their habits.
It's wet and windy, but you are still out on Strand Street. Why have you come down today?
Well, we live in Ramsey, so there was some things we needed. We can only get them in Douglas, so yeah, and we've got what we wanted. Yeah.
Are you happy with your experience today?
Oh yes, it's you know what shopping's like for a man.
Any last minute panics about the big day?
No. She was well organised.
And you say you've come from Ramsey into Douglas to have a look. Why not go on the internet?
No, I don't like shopping on the internet. I like to feel or if I'm buying clothes, I like to feel the quality of the stuff. And if you get something on the internet and it doesn't fit, you've got the problem of sending it back. And I'd rather buy local. Yeah.
So far, so good.
A lot of people do go on the internet to get their Christmas presents. Why have you come down to the high street?
I think it's a good shop local and, give back. Can't do everything online. I like getting in the festive spirit as well.
Yeah. You like the music that they're playing down Strand Street?
Not my cup of tea, but yeah, it's all right, I suppose, yeah.
Did you find everything you've been looking for?
Yeah, I've found everything I looked for, yeah. I've done a bit online because, obviously you can't get everything in town, so it's about getting a bit of balance and so on, yeah.
I've done a bit of both, but I like to support local as well, so I've done a lot on the internet, but all the last little bits and bobs I'm getting from here.
Yeah, it's absolutely last minute Christmas shopping. Really handy parking. Yeah, done some good work today. I'm quite proud.
Have you gone pure high street this year or high street and ordered off the internet as well?
Mostly high street this year, actually. There's a couple of bits I've not been able to get on islands. I have had to go to the internet, but I've tried shopping here where possible.
Be honest, have you shopped online? Of course, you can do that in the middle of the night, sitting in your pyjamas in bed. You can do it any time, day or night. And when you do shop online, do you ever think, could I get this in the Isle of Man? Even after I have to pay a few pounds more, could I do that? Obviously, that money will then go around in the economy. Or do you think, first things first, I want it now and I want it cheap? Honestly, what do you think?
Merry Christmas from everyone at St Mary's School in Douglas.
Christmas, twinkling lights, a nip in the air, gatherings with friends and family, and the perfect time to enjoy a delicious glass of Bush's Manx beer. Available in all the island's finest establishments. And remember, Bush's is the only brewery supporting Manx farmers by using locally grown barley in our brews. So enjoy a Bush's this Christmas and take a taxi or bus home. Bush's, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a happy new beer.
Wow, that's a sparkly diamond you have there, Emma.
Thank you. It's almost as bright as the savings rates at the Guernsey Bank Skipton International.
Oh, what are they offering at the moment?
An amazing 4.75% AER fixed rate account, maturing on the 14th of November 2025 for deposits starting at £100,000.
For details of all Skipton savings accounts, call 01481 730 730 or visit skiptoninternational.com. If you want your savings to sparkle, switch to Skipton today. No withdrawals allowed until maturity. Interest is paid annually and upon maturity. Skipton International is licensed to take deposits by the GFSC and is a participant in the Guernsey Banking Deposit Compensation Scheme. See dcs.gg.
Settle in for a tale of passion, jealousy, corruption, and the lady killers who entranced 1920s Chicago. Grab your gun, your best fur coat, and liquor. The Douglas Choral Union presents Chicago at the Gaiety Theatre from the 7th to the 15th of February. Book your tickets via villagaiety.com or on 60055. Sponsored by DQ Advocates and supported by the nation's station, Manx Radio.
Did you know this year the RNLI has been celebrating its 200th year of life-saving? Look, I'm not sure how you missed it, but never fear. On Island Life this week, we're going to be taking a closer look at those past 200 years and how the institution came to be. I'm Siobhan Fletcher, and this week I'll be bringing you a special episode of A Brief History Of to celebrate the huge milestone. That's Island Life tonight at 5:30 right here on Manx Radio, or you can listen afterwards wherever you get your podcasts.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Oh, well, Faster Mike, good afternoon. 29 minutes now before 1. And talking of podcasts, as Siobhan was, you can, of course, you can get them, and you can subscribe to the podcast by going to manxradio.com and click on podcasts, and there are various buttons there for you to subscribe to Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And once you've subscribed there, they are absolutely free of charge, just appearing on your smart device. Listen whenever you want. Have a binge. Listen to 5 hours worth if you want. Typical government, says Kevin, asked the people for a vote on the Gaiety. The people vote no. It was I know what you mean. It was a consultation, really. Anyway, so the people vote no. The government goes ahead anyway with it. Probably the same reason that they don't put net zero to a public vote, says Kevin. Well, there will be a public vote in a little under 2 years' time, because there'll be an election in 2026. It will be fascinating. I'm really looking forward to hearing the potential candidates and what they think and what manifesto they're going to stand on. This business of taking drinks back to your seats at the Gaiety is just another example of what annoys the general public. This is a bad idea, and yet the government persists with these things to the annoyance of a large percentage of the public, says Ian. What would happen if your EV caught fire and spread to your neighbour's car or even their house? This can and could increase home insurance costs, says Fran. Well, if you're in the insurance business, I'd love to know if when you insure an EV, whether it covers, obviously there's third-party cover, but what's it limited to? If your EV is parked on your drive, what about that sort of implication? I mean, obviously, if you have an internal combustion engine and your petrol vehicle bursts into flames, that will cause damage as well. But the EV is a lot more difficult to put out. Anyway, thoughts on that? Julian's with us. Hello, Julian.
Hi, Andy. Just wondering, with the drinks at the Gaiety, is that going to include people having bags of nuts and crisps? They're kind of noisy, aren't they?
They are, and Maltesers as well, especially when they drop them on the floor and they go rolling down.
Yeah, and think of all that extra electricity that'd be required for all that hoovering up.
Maybe they'll get brushes.
Yeah, true. A couple of days ago, the Isle of Man Private Members Bill proposed by Michelle Hayward, the Safe Access Zones and Protected Public Spaces Bill of 2024, despite having a call for evidence consultation right before Christmas, which reminds me of that swimming pool report. You remember, Andy? It came out about an hour after the last Mannin Line.
Yeah, I remember.
The second reading was fast-forwarded onto a couple of days ago. Interesting exchanges with Tim Glover, who kind of had the same question I did. Why do we need this? Julie Edge had the same question. Jason Morehouse pretty much said the same thing as well. Kind of interesting, kind of why do we need to restrict certain places, and why, and who is this going to be for, and who is this going to affect?
Particularly when we have, as Peter often points out, that we have existing legislation that covers any happenings where this is concerned, any contingencies.
Because you've got the Public Order Act, you've got the Harassment Act, and to a degree you've got the Equality Act. So you've got all these filters. I mean, I would have thought part of the consultation will be what case came through that couldn't be handled by any of those three pieces of legislation that requires this one.
Well, they've called for evidence. They want views on the designation of public protection zones. Now, that call for evidence closes on the 16th of March next year. So basically almost 3 months to contribute to that.
Yeah, that's right. I think Michelle Hayward was kind of pushed to extend it from the end of January, wasn't she? Chris Thomas, again, he was wanting to push for that extension for the time to gather the evidence. And it's kind of vague, these healthcare services. I think I mentioned to you the other day that the assisted dying bill, there's never been any clinical trials on that. I think Julie Edge sort of alluded to that. in the sense that, is this going to be kind of like a trial or something to see what kind of chemicals you need for people of different constitutions? You've got medical research, innovative medical treatments, scientific research, vaccination and inoculation services. I seem to remember when Michelle Haywood was in Tynwald talking about this, she was saying about people standing outside and crowing about and being anti-vaxxers and things. So I wonder, how much of this is going to impinge on our freedom of expression and freedom of speech? If you don't like something or you have evidence to the contrary, how are you going to kind of express this if you've got all these safe zones where you're not allowed within 100 yards or, in fact, I think it's 100 yards or more if they choose to, of any length? It doesn't actually have a limit.
Well, as you say, there's anti-harassment laws in place at the moment. However, harassment may have taken place by the time somebody makes a complaint about it. So I think this is a preemptive move, isn't it?
Yeah, and the other thing is, if you let's suppose somebody doesn't like this safe access zone, your only course of action is to go through either petition of dolience, jurisprudence. That sounds expensive. Some of these lawyers that are only good at doing this is £250 an hour. So you haven't got a sort of an easy way to say, well, hang on a minute, this isn't fair. And they'll say, well, sorry, see you in court. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of heavy, isn't it, when you can't do that? And then you've got this anonymising of the zones. And I think Peter mentioned that even the Official Secrets Act, people know where Porton Down is. They know where the Secret Services buildings are. How do you know if you're transgressing if they're going to try anonymising?
And how's it going to be policed? How can you enforce this if people don't know where it is? Will the constabulary be called on? Will it be private security, or will the people who are employed by the facility, will they have the authority to apprehend people?
Yeah. And another question that was raised, I think it was Julie Edge, the Research Ethics Committee. I've not actually looked into that. I'd like to know who the members are. I hope there's no conflicts of interest on that Ethics Committee. Okay.
All right, Julian, thanks for calling today.
Thanks, Andy. Cheers.
This is the question of the private members bill. It was Michelle Haywood's private members bill. The Safe Access Zones and Protected Public Spaces Bill 2024 was granted by the House to its proposer on the 17th of December. The bill completed its second reading in Keys. Now, if you want more information on the purpose and the intended effects of the bill and to submit your views, go to tynwald.org.im and there'll be a link to it if you wish to discuss the call for evidence. You can speak to Michelle Haywood directly or you can email her on michelle.haywood@gov.im. Haywood is with an A. michelle.haywood@gov.im. The call for evidence closes on the 16th of March next year. Here's Eric with us now. Hi, Eric.
Hi, Andy. Nice to meet you in real life at Nobles the other night.
Yeah, there we were together in reception.
Yeah. And anyway, I wanted to talk to you about the news item you've had on.
Yeah.
About the other sheltered housing down south. I wanted to get basically what we got, and they've opened negotiations. I'd just like to say anybody in any sheltered housing should be onto their housing officer and find out what it is they're paying, and if they're paying what we were paying, then they need to do something about it. They need to make a noise. Nobody's going to do it for them. They need to get in touch with the officer, and the officer, we're very lucky we've got a very good housing officer down here, and the work he put in to get this reduction that we got was fantastic. But we need the other people that are in the same position as we are now to do what we did.
How long did it take you to get the lower rate, Eric?
6 months. And it's 6 months, far too long. They were wrong. They knew they were wrong, but they weren't prepared to concede, and I've got to put my hand up to Chanel on your news team. The interviews she did with me and put out were absolutely fantastic, and I'm not sure we would have got the same result without them items going on the news, and that's what it needs. But don't let anybody in other sheltered housing go and ask your housing officer today how much you're paying for your gas, and if it's what we were paying before, then it needs changing. So I'm just saying to them, go and do it. Don't sit and wait. Just do it there and get the price down.
Appreciate it, Eric. Thanks for calling today.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Good to hear from you. Let's give Chanel a shout out as well. Well done, Chanel, for that. Regarding the Gaiety Theatre, I think this drinks issue, Mrs. Kane's made a mess of this. And if she has any kind of responsibility to the public, she needs to bring this back to the table and have a rethink. Says Peter. Thank you, Peter. They should sell bottled drinks only. How much faster? No spillage unless you try carrying too many and drop some. So bottled ones, the little plastic miniatures that they can sell. If they want to improve the experience of going to the Gaiety, they should take out a few rows of seats and increase the leg room. It only has leg room for hobbits, says Alex. Not many of those around. Well, you never know, do you? I think you should let people have a drink and enjoy themselves and stop Roy B. Sorry, Roy B. I can see the words, but they don't make that much sense. But I think you're against you think people should be able to have a drink and enjoy themselves. That's Roy on 505. People mention EV cars. What about the respective EV vans? Many have 2 electric batteries. Will the Isle of Man become full of abandoned, unsaleable petrol and EV vans? Says G. Well, we don't know. It was mentioned yesterday by the caller who had been in the motor trade for years and years and years and explained why obviously corporate and business customers will lease EVs because obviously you can write it off. You can write them off after 5 years. As a private customer, you may be quids out on this. Extending licence to the Gaiety Theatre, says 762. Does this go to the boxers as well? Oh, to the very rich, you mean?
Merry Christmas from everyone at Victoria Road Primary School in Castletown.
Yes! This Christmas, give them something they'll really love, like the iPhone 16, Apple Watch or a Samsung tablet. Discover incredible value bundles exclusively at Shaw. Plus, get an M&S voucher worth up to £200 when you combine your mobile and broadband plans. Perfect for a Christmas to remember. Visit us in-store or online at shaw.com/Christmas. T's and C's apply.
With Crossroads Furniture Commission Service, our home interiors store will collect customers' unwanted furniture and sell it on their behalf. Following a sale, the customer receives 60% of the sale price, with the remaining 40% being donated to Crossroads. If you have quality furniture to sell and benefit Crossroads, then arrange a collection. Call 611 363 or email furniture@crossroadsiom.org. Terms and conditions apply.
Office World, have we got it? Office World, yes we have. Office World.
For all things stationery, from pens, pencils, paper and ink cartridges to desking and seating, Office World has it. Call 666 366. Come down to Spring Valley Industrial Estate, Braddon to find out more of what's in store.
Office World, have we got it? Office World, yes we have. Office World.
This Christmas, we've turned overindulgence into an art form at Comis Hotel and Golf Resort. Throughout December, celebrate with family, friends and colleagues at our fabulous festive lunches and amazing afternoon teas. But hurry, secure your sumptuous spread and book today. Visit comishotel.com. And don't forget your Christmas Day lunch or New Year's Eve celebration. We've limited spaces, so call our Christmas fairies on 646 218 to book. Comis Hotel and Golf Resort. Your perfect festive event awaits.
The winning is now well underway on Manx Radio's 12 Days of Christmas.
And we've already given away a £100 fuel voucher for Ellen Vannin Fuels, an overnight stay at the Mannin Hotel, and £50 to spend with Ramsey Garden Centre. And we still have lots of other goodies under the tree that could be yours between now and Christmas Eve.
All you need to do is listen for your cue to call and join us live on the air to answer a simple seasonal question.
Manx Radio's 12 Days of Christmas. Brought to you by SpectrumWindows.im.
Keep listening for your chance to win this festive season.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
14 minutes before 1. I'm old school, says Ian. I like to have something in my hand when I pay for it, although I appreciate there are things you can't get here. I'm also a technophobe, so do as little as I can with technology, says Ian. There's a beautiful shop open opposite Boots. It brightens the whole street up. It's what Douglas used to be like, with lots more. That's where I did most of my Christmas shopping, says Karen. Well, thank you for that. In 2 years' time, we'll be asking our wonderful MHK's questions. Well, we'll be asking all the candidates questions, because when the election is called, we no longer have MHKs. They're merely candidates. So we'll be asking all the candidates what it is they think they're going to be doing. And I'm looking forward to it. I don't know about you. It's going to be a fascinating general election. My mind's got a phone of its own. I just wanted to say Merry Christmas to everybody, and thanks to Manx Radio for all your hard work and great listening. Thank you, Crystal. Lovely to hear from you. Here's Juan now. Hi, Juan.
How are you, Andy?
Well, we're okay, actually. It's one of those winter Christmas days on the Isle of Man where half of the island's got thick cloud and the other's got blue sky.
Some things never change. Some things never change. It's just, and I've been off for a little while, and it's like picking up a soap opera. You can leave it for 2 or 3 months, and you can still come back, and you know the storyline. There's a few things don't change. I just wanted to check that you've got the right address to send me my Christmas present over. I didn't know. You might have had the wrong address, you see.
Oh, sorry, I broke my pencil.
I don't know. And I've got you a massive big tub of vitamin D3. And you can share it with Alf, because he's not well as well. So there you go. You can share it between you.
There's a lot of it going round.
There's a lot of it going round, yeah. Who's the minister in charge for the Gaiety Theatre? You mentioned there before. Who was the minister in charge for that?
It's Daphne Kane, Department of Education, Sport and Culture.
Code Red Daphne. I think we'll get rid of the Green Goddess. That's wearing a bit thin now. Code Red Daphne, I think, for next year. That's what we'll have for Daphne. I think it's the wrong environment for it. I think if people can't go and enjoy a show without getting there early and have a drink, maybe improve the bar premises. But the seating, like you say, is very cramped there. I mean, I must be a hobbit because I can fit in them, but you can see stuff getting spilled, cleaners having to go in, cleaning carpets. You're going to get the smell. You remember the old days of the Palace Lido and places like that. You used to get that there stagnant, stale smell in the carpets.
Actually, nobody's brought that up, and that's a very good point. Stale alcohol stinks, doesn't it?
Oh God! You remember the old days of the palace and everything? It used to be stifled by smoke, but of course, when cigarette ban came in, you could smell the stale alcohol. And I think it's the wrong environment. If you're going for a theatre or a show of some kind, a musical theatre, surely you can do 2 hours without a drink, and get there early if you want to drink, and go to the bar. This has surely got to be a money-making scheme for the government to get some revenue in. I can't see that there's any other logic behind that, to be honest. I was just looking at the road closing as well. It went through, I think the commissioners at Ramsey last night had a meeting about the proposed trial of road closing, but there's 39 shops, I believe, were against that.
Yeah, the pedestrianisation, I think it was Lamara Crane put that forward, and it's been knocked back by and I think they voted not to take it any further as well, so it's not going to happen.
That's right, yeah, they have. But it just bemuses me sometimes that you get a dog with a bone with people like Lamara, and 39 people had already written in saying that they didn't want it, but she persisted in doing it. And I think it was more to do with getting rid of cars on the green energy thing rather than what was best for Ramsey. I do agree, Ramsey does need some things sorting out, and maybe they should look at putting another level of car parking in front of Tesco and have a bigger car park there, and then they could look at maybe doing that, and so they don't lose the parking. It's just a thought. My last piece was I'm just looking at a text from a person who put in or was looking at bids on the Lord Street flats. And the message was, I almost spat my drink out reading them, the terms and conditions for bidding. You'd think it was a prime piece of real estate in perfect condition the way they're going on. Bids in a sealed envelope. Upon purchase, the properties must be kept to a high standard of cleanliness and maintenance. I was sick for 2 days after going into the properties where black mould was so thick on some of the walls, and it gave me a chest infection, which I still haven't quite shaken off. You have to write the entire plan on your development, carbon nonsense, etc. Funny that they did zero of any of this, so bureaucrats. It goes on a bit, but it's interesting when people are coming here to try and invest, and they're put off by the way that the council treat them with a big site like that. It just seems, put your bid in an envelope, no meetings, no discussions, and no help. This is the Lord Street flat. So you're saying that the deal is you put your bid in a sealed envelope, and that's that. So there's no chatting with the council beforehand to talk about what may be happening to the properties, what their plans are, and how you can work together. Just put your bid in a sealed envelope, and that's that. Closed bids with no escalation, no discussion beforehand with council over the site, nothing. Just a closed bid, very amateur. This is a little cottage auction. So, these are investors that's wanting to put money in to the island, and this is the kind of feedback that they're getting from the council. Okay. And also the condition of them properties as well. I've delivered stuff to them properties over the years, and people had them like little palaces inside. They did their best with them. And the entranceways and everything were rough, but people did the best inside them that they could. But the governments and local government and everything are trying to again impose regulations on landlords, and their properties are the worst. Some people in Williston have got black mould on their properties as well. And so, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you're going to impose these regulations, then, All right, June, I've got to go because I want to just talk to Roger very quickly. So back to the sunshine you go. Happy New Year and Happy Christmas to you and all the listeners. All right, thanks, June. Good to hear from you. Roger, hi.
Hi, Andy. Just wanted to tell you a personal experience I had, which was alcohol-related in a theatre, not on the Isle of Man, not here. Yeah. It was in Manchester at the Arena, I think it was called then. But the experience I had, I was there with my wife to watch a show and was in the circle and took a seat in. Next to us was two ladies, two men, I presume they're partners or whatever, to watch a show, but they had a glass of wine, but what they also had was a full bottle of wine in their bag. Oh, wow. Did, yeah. And so what happened on this occasion, yeah, they drank the glass of wine, they got through the end of the bottle. By that stage, they was up, bearing in mind it was in the circle. They were bopping away with it, and the handbag, one of the handbags, was hitting me in the head every few seconds, which wasn't a nice experience. And so words were exchanged. I don't know what they said to the boyfriends, but certainly it wasn't their fault. It was certainly mine for being sat next to them. Yeah. And there was quite an altercation erupted from that incident. So I think one of the points I'm trying to make is I think if people are that desperate that they're in the can't go the 40 minutes or whatever it is without the drink. But when they've drunk the drink, they're not going to get up during the interval, go back down the aisle, queue up in the bar, and come back again. They're just going to take what these people do. Just going to take their own drink in.
So good idea, bad idea.
Bad idea, but only from my experience. But there's just something that can happen quite easily here as anywhere else.
Appreciate it, Roger. Thanks for calling today.
Thanks, Andy. Take care.
Cheers, mate. That's it for Mannin Line today. No Chief Minister today. We'll see how he feels, and if he's well enough, he'll be on tomorrow. Otherwise, our final Mannin Line of 2024 will be an open line tomorrow. Thanks to Chris Quirk on the phones, and thank you for tuning in.
WINT